champion pool. So already LNG with a massive advantage in the draft.
Yeah, they do leave things open like the Viego, of course. I also think that one of the big takeaways of yesterday's series, even the day before, is like Ziggs was so strong looking in the bot side of the map. So it feels like to me, with Ziggs off the table, I'm once again looking at champions like Viego, Lee Sin, then those global mid laners that have completely taken over the map.
That's the big one for me, especially for Icon. The Rise and that Twisted Fate have been so crucial for these guys, because one of the big things we saw in playoffs has been this reinvigoration from them. They're reinventing themselves, playing through new styles and actually interacting with each other, having Tarzan shadow lanes, making sure that he's there and present for his laners. I want to see the Rises come through so they can facilitate that, the Twisted Fates to do that.
Yeah, we have seen like Aphelios and Thresh are both left open. Like my expectation would be that you see an Aphelios next to a Thresh. I know in the LPL it feels a little bit more loose in regards to whether or not you have to take the Thresh next to it, because in the LEC it is every single time Aphelios locked in, Thresh has to be by his side.
And it's kind of strange, right? Because what we're seeing right here with this Kennen lock is We've seen this a couple of times in playoffs, but during the regular split, it was exactly the same in LPL, right? Where it's Aphelios Thresh locked in as a pair, you never go for one without the other, right? Whereas it feels like the Thresh dropped off in priority mass.
This Kennen is a big one though, because neither of these top laners really play the Jayce. So the fact that you're taking the Kennen here means that you've got a guaranteed range matchup. You should be in a reasonably good spot, unless Cube suddenly brings it out in towards the top side for the Jayce. So I love what LNG have done, and this Kennen has been so crucial time and time again, enabling light in these team fights.
Yeah, the Kennen can be so difficult too, playing against it as a backliner. You know, of course, the TP comes in and causes so much chaos for you. And now I'm sort of looking as the Syndra gets locked in for Rare Adam, like this pick for them coming on through. If that does end up going into... Oh, are they actually going to show the Jayce here? That would be really interesting, because Jayce does have a favorable matchup into the Kennen, but like you were saying, maybe not as comfortable on it.
Yeah, it just has not played it very much at all this split, and it's been something that we've seen consistently banned by Rare Adam, also by LNG, because they do not like that pick. So now we'll have to see how Ale is going to be able to contest with that in the Jayce, and now it looks like we'll get the Lee Sin for Tarzan. Strong early game jungler, which fits LNG perfectly.
When you stop and think about how the drafts have been across the course of playoffs, the fact that Lee Sin is being hovered for the final pick of the first draft phase is kind of insane to think about. This has been like first pick, first ban.
It does feel like there have been a lot of OPs that have been left open, right? Because we talked about like the mid lane pool, like the Rises of the world, and all these things are available. Varus too, not picked or banned in the first entire phase, and that can be something you can take into the Aphelios. So that's what I'm sort of eyeing up here now, because Rare Adam would love probably to get a Varus, right? Varus plus Jayce, that's pretty insane poke.
Yeah, and even with the Syndra there as well, right? That kind of is screaming to me right now what Rare Adam would love. And I mean, they're actually going to be looking at the bot lane bans here for their Khan straight off the bat. I agree. I'd love to see a Varus ban. I think it does wonders in the bot side. You end up with great play then for when you come into the mid game, ton of poke, and really difficult unless LNG gets some sort of flank with this Kennen to actually be able to engage onto that comp.
And I think it's super important that Rare Adam are banning away something like the Rise of these globals, especially when you're running a Jayce topside. And if they do end up going for a priority bot lane, like it becomes so hard to play the map if you have pushing side lanes and there's a global on the other side, right? You have to be able to contain mid. You need to play for mid priority first in order to make sure your side lanes are going to be comfortable. So that's going to be really important that they can secure that, because they've already shown their mid lane matchup, right? LNG get counter pick here, and that can be pretty problematic if Icon's allowed to leave that lane and start influencing sides.
And one of the big thing is Icon has 22 champions by this split. God only knows what this man is going to bring out in the mid lane.
Him and Angel are the two that love all of the crazy picks. FoFo, less of a pool, but just more dominant on those picks.
Yeah, and that's why I'm kind of looking to see, okay, what's the plan here from Icon? Like, Azir going there. We've seen like things like the Akali have kind of been there for the Syndra counter at times, just where survive the laning phase, you have that shred to keep you safe, and you're able to take off in the later portion of the game. So maybe you get to see that fallback.
Yeah, it's a possibility for LNG. I think LNG probably take their mid lane champion here, and they can save support as counterpick, unless they really wanted to make sure they could get the Thresh for themselves, because a common answer into something like the Aphelios when Thresh is still open would be like a Jinx plus a Thresh. Now, looking at Rare Adam's composition, I'm not sure that I totally love something like a Jinx. Feels a little bit off theme compared to the other champions that are a little bit more early game dominance to go up here.
Yeah, we could see iBoy on the Kalista if we want early game power.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, look, I love the Braum anyway, right? Because right now I'm thinking, hell, LNG need to get into this fight, right? The Galio needs something to enable them. You can use the Lee Sin there. The same with the Kennen. And okay, you do get that the Jinx. I actually would have loved the Braum. I think Braum would have been perfect where you just buy space for this composition of Rare Adam.
Yeah, and again, like Rare Adam still have with this Jinx a lot of range with their comp. That was sort of the benefit of locking in something like a Varus next to it. Varus, of course, maybe a little bit more early pressure. The poke combinations, the pick combination with something like a Syndra and a Jayce here. But with a Jinx now, the concern, while not running a Thresh next to it, is now the Kennen becomes a whole lot stronger in the backline, the Galio too.
Especially if you go for something like the Rell. You've got that easy matchup in the bottom side where Braum is not going to put you under too much threat, same with the Jinx, so you can take this Rell, look for really strong roams, and it sets up perfectly, even if they want to go for the Alice that they're hovering as well, just for that Galio. Get these engage tools off, using the Lee Sin, the Kennen to enable that Galio and close the distance onto Rare Adam.
And when you just look at that LNG comp on paper, there is so much AoE CC, like, and on top of things like an Aphelios that can throw the Infernum in there while all of these big ultis go off, like, that feels like a wombo combo and a half.
Yeah, it's really strong for LNG, right? If they're able to get in on the flanks like they'd like to. I think we saw the Galio plus Rell combination be super powerful just a couple of days ago as well. So again, it's like not a whole lot of peel tools for Rare Adam, right? You have a very squishy, immobile battle.
LNG, their journey through this tournament to be here, they beat Suning, they beat Top Esports, they beat RNG. And then the two teams that they lost to get knocked out of this bracket are literally the top two teams in the LPL. We'll see if LNG can get back onto that winning streak that they have.
These compositions, though, feel like they're telling the story of what these teams like. Right? When you look at Rare Adam, it's been about lane dominance. iBoy and Hung have been insanely dominant in that bottom side of the map. They've been coming out second in that goal difference of 15 throughout the regular split. You look at FoFo, he's been a monster in that mid lane as well. And when you look at these lanes, it's dominate the lanes, have Leyan try and facilitate that. Whereas when you look across at LNG, these early skirmishes, that gank potential would be so strong for them.
Exactly, and especially when you see something like the Predator Galio locked into the mid lane for Icon, not playing for the 1v1 up against FoFo. He doesn't have to do that. He doesn't want to do that. Instead, it's about him and Tarzan and influencing the rest of the map. The 2v2 of mid-jungle. Get the support involved as well. There's so many playmaking tools if LNG are able to find strong roam timing.
And I just want to quickly add credence to that as well, because when you look at the mid lane matchup, FoFo's stats, his CSD at 15, across the entire league, he's first place. This is a league with Doinb and Knight in it. This is a league known for its dominant laners. Same for goal difference 15, he's third. Damage percent for the team, he's second out of the whole league as well. FoFo is a monster, and Syndra is one of his key picks, as we see some heavy trading already. Both junglers pathing up towards this top side, which could be a volatile matchup.
And even when you look at like FoFo throughout the playoffs as well, he was the reason that they're able to pick up 2 of their wins in the last series, popping off on that Aurelia. We need to kind of see that same thing again, because whenever FoFo's firing on all cylinders, Rare Adam rise to the occasion alongside him.
Yeah, and Rare Adam, they have that really powerful top side of the map. You know, FoFo in the early game doesn't necessarily expect to get a ton of assistance from his jungler, so you expect just to have that push up and be able to help control around scuttle crabs, these types of things. If Cube and FoFo are pushing top side, well, Leyan's pathing towards that area of the map. Much, I think you're right on the money. Top lane can get super volatile as well, so it's very important that Leyan is actually walking towards that top side and making sure that Tarzan can't find a gank in the next 30 to 40 seconds.
I can see as Tarzan moves in towards the top side. Heavy trading going on in the mid lane, and Icon realizing he's not getting the best of it, but that is one of the advantages of the Galio, right? Having that magic shield, being able to survive some of what the Syndra's going to try and do. But as you said, Ender, Cube pretty far pushed up right here. The wave, not in the perfect spot, but it looks like Tarzan opting out of the play on the top side.
I think we can kind of see Rare Adam's game plan though, right? You just got that quick reset coming through from iBoy. He picks up a cull off that reset as well. Yeah. They're not looking to fight. They're like, cool, look guys, we're happy with this lane kingdom. We're going to sit here for the next 15 to 20 minutes and not interact with you.
Yeah, there's even some theory there too by going for like the early long sword that can go up into like noon quiver and these things. You're not even sidetracking yourself with an early Doran's, as I like that interrupt on the reset. But now Tarzan, I think, just walks up here, makes sure that Icon can get the wave. Isn't even going to leech experience away. Very good from him. Scuttle Crabs have been traded, so early on, just completely even between the two junglers, but you're seeing some of the lane pressure be problematic as Tarzan has to help cover mid and has to path away from the topside crab.
Yeah, especially the fact that Leyan is getting these invades off, right? Like, this is going to become even more of an issue as you start to pick up items on mid lane for FoFo, Cube as well, who Ale.
Oh, Ale looking for the stun. Actually will find an opportunity here. Flash available to the skies in. Cube tries to turn it around and almost does so. Shock Blast, I don't know if it's on cooldown here. They'll both survive for the time being, but only just.
Yeah, I'm honestly a little surprised Cube backed away there at the end. He might have been 1 or 2 seconds off of his re-swap on the form, because otherwise you flash forward, get a ranged auto attack, and you get a kill, but Tarzan is sneaking through the lane. Cube has virtually no mana, and Leyan is all the way on the bot side of the map.
Cube does still have his flash available. Ale trying to bait it, trying to look juicy here. Tarzan Would love to find a Sonic Wave, but Cube, good positioning here. Behind the caster, splash forward, looking for the stun. There's the cripple coming on in. Can he turn this one around? Cube flashes in! Ali survives, the minions can't quite finish the kill. That could not have been closer.
Oh, hang on, bot side though, Leyan. Seeing if you can try and get in here. He's going to just back away.
He's going to be able, whoa.
That was insane. Like, the fact that you missed the Sonic Wave on Tarzan as well just added so much more pressure to that play.
I really appreciated the flash to execute from Tarzan. You know, it does a little bit of bonus damage if, you know, you need to finish off a target. Complete waste of the ability there, but Cube very nearly was able to turn that one around. Still, I like what Rare Adam are doing, going down to the bot side, making sure they can get this Drake in return, but I mean, it felt like Cube should have known that something was going on in that top lane because Ali was just there for so long on virtually no HP.
Yeah, you said it, like, he's just sitting here looking juicy, right? And if you get one flash combo in from the Jayce, like, you're done. But nice job from Ale, right? Sets up, actually misses the stun, then you miss the Sonic Wave as well, which is why this ended up so close. And I was trying to see which minions were auto-attacking who.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, hang on. We got another fight that's up. Okay, it's just going to be ults.
Yeah, I mean, so this is the way the matchup works. If Kennen can hit 6, there is some kill threat there, especially if you bring a jungler into it, but Jayce can simply knock him away. I think Ale actually canceled his auto attack in that play, the empowered one, to get the stun, and that was the miss on that and what gave Cube a small window, but you can see top lane shifting and bot lane fighting.
Bottom side here, Light with good weapons for this one. The Gravits have already used iBoy trying to escape. Hung blocking a ton of damage, but hey, that's just a great trade for LNG.
Yeah, phenomenal trade for LNG, and the fact that we're actually getting these lanes starting to turn in LNG's favor is super nice for them, right? Light will be able to get a little bit of pressure on this bottom side. Tarzan even here.
Yeah, and Icon's left lane too has access to the hero's entrance, so you just deny this entire wave on the bot side.
Those weapons, red and white, he is going to shred plates, but only going to go for one now, just going to clear the way.
My biggest worry coming into this, though, was like, especially when you look towards objectives, right? Early Dragon's gone the way of Moray. I was like, if we just get this lane dominance from Moray, they turn towards the Rift Herald, they're able to get that one. But the fact that we're getting, like now, Lwandy playing well against iBoy and Hung means you've got a bit of pressure bot side. Ale just feeling more comfortable in this matchup as well, but maybe in trouble.
Yeah, up to the top side we go again. Ale, with the Lightning Surge, though, will just be able to get himself out to safety. Leyan, happy to settle for these Krugs. Look at Tarzan on the minimap, though. He's moving on over. Ale, no ult available, no flash available. A Cube knows it. Tarzan about to arrive. If they went for this, it would basically be a 2v1 with Ale's health bar, right?
Yeah, it's not really going great because Ale has to reset, and Lwandy was running towards the top side of the map too to try and help out, so it's a little bit of wasted time there as Tarzan and friends tried to roam up and help Ale. Ale will lose a few minions to the tower, maybe a plate as well, and it was a late reset from Light in the bottom side too, so that wave's been fully pushed on in here, and they can all get back on the map.
It's cheeky.
This is one of the things, though, that Lyric and myself were talking about the other day, is that, like, because you've got the Aphelios on the bot side, you'd love to just dive him by himself, right? Lwandy's out moving around the map, but when you've got the Braum there, he's not the best when you go towards these dives, same with the Jinx. So I like that Lwandy's trying to get out of the map and try and set up for this Rift Herald, which is going to be up in just a few moments. Now making his way back bot lane, though, just to make sure the Light's okay.
iBoy would love to get that plate. He's not going to be able to get it for the time being here. Unfortunately, not able to quite get in range for that one as we return to normalcy here. You see Icon going for a reset. Perhaps an opportunity for him to get out on the map because we've not seen much use of this Predator from Galio so far.
Yeah, Icon had that one move down towards the bot side. It was more about the threat of his ability to jump in there that we ended up seeing some CS denied for iBoy on the bottom side of the map. And ultimately, that's all you need sometimes to make things happen, especially LNG probably looking at it going, our team fight and our setup around objectives is going to be super strong, so they don't even necessarily have to just completely focus on diving side lanes, collapsing around that and working for it. Instead, they can look to play towards the Herald, towards the Dragon that's going to be spawning in a minute 40, and if Rare Adam are opting into those fights, it's probably going to look quite good for LNG.
Yeah, especially, I mean, as you say, like Tarzan's already in the vicinity, Icon having push in mid lane is sticking around, but I feel like you can just start this up, right? Between the double solo lane ultimates, how do you try and contest this as Rare Adam?
That'll be the question. Rare Atom, the first one to get a Drake in this game. Next one spawning in a minute and 20. Are they willing to contest the Herald? Looking statistically, RA much prefer those Drakes to the Heralds, but generally speaking, with neutral objectives, that is RA's bread and butter. But looks like, for now at very least, they're not going up to that top side.
Yeah, because again, RA, they don't really have much proactive playmaking, right? They have strong champions, but a Braum isn't going to be that roaming support that goes crazy. Viego doesn't really have anyone to team up with and make the plays happen either. So all they can really do is work around their pressure. You always have that global threat. Now Lwandy has actually roamed up towards the mid lane. Both supports are going to be there. So it's very possible we see a fight break out around this top side of the map soon.
Both teams posturing on this one as LNG getting prio in mid lane. FoFo just going to be able to clear those up and then move in with Hung to escort him there. But perhaps not. Perhaps Reset's just going to come through. Once again, we posture for it and then we back away.
Nobody feels confident at this point in time. Like, you've already moved Lwandy up. He's trying to get the shove for Icon. Even Light was, like, considering moving up from the bottom side of the map to make sure they get it. But Tarzan will start it up. You already have Ale who can move across. Icon's in the same position as well. So unless Leyan gets a miracle steal here.
I mean, it's not even a miracle still. It's just a straight up 50-50. I feel like he could just walk in here. Would be dangerous though, but always has that ultimate. Looks like this will be conceded by RA, and it looks like LNG should be the ones just to finish that eye off and grab themselves the Herald.
You know, this is one of those situations, though, where I feel like RA were a little bit too focused on matching LNG on the top side. Like, there's this big window where they could have just been starting up Drake, you know? If Leyan had wanted to play up there, if Hong hadn't wanted to make that roam happen, and you had that bit of a standoff where RA realized, actually, we can't really go ahead and fight this. And now, as we path back down towards the bottom side of the map, LNG are like, yeah, sweet, another objective. There's only one on the map. Either you're giving it to us or you're fighting us for it. And that's exactly the position they want themselves to be in.
And you've even got Rift Herald here for LNG to start like getting that mid priority. And if you start to take these towers and start taking these objectives, that's where you're going to be in a bit of trouble for Rare Adam.
iBoy could be in a bit of trouble here as Light going very aggressive on the bottom side of the map. Just one auto to trade from iBoy there. Doesn't quite feel as effective as what we got to see there from Light. Another all-in on the top side. Stun from Ale to try and keep Cube away. And he will be able to do so, at least for the time being. Look at the amount of pings on the minimap around this Drake.
We're getting ready to fight. Look, both top laners have TP. They both want to go back to base for HP, for mana, to get into this fight. There are some wards that Ale could look to TP into. That's the big teleport cooldown, but I feel like RA may end up just giving this one up, instead allowing Cube to keep pushing topside and maybe play for a single turret plate.
Yeah, I think these, like, for Rare Adam, you need to start using your lanes better, because the biggest issue is if you start... Oh, hang on, Ale again?
He just has loves to go aggressive in this matchup. Slicing Maelstrom on in. Can he find the solo kill? Ale just goes straight in, and Cube did not see that coming.
And this was the thing, right? Cube still had his flash, he still had the ability to get away, but he hasn't been playing a huge amount of Jayce. It's not one of his pocket picks, and not looking very comfortable on this matchup whatsoever.
No, it's a huge mistake coming out of the top lane there from Cube, not able to escape in that situation. And Ale just, like, there's no deception in that. He TP'd to a minion in a lane and ran in a straight line at the Jayce until Jayce had no more HP.
Yeah.
Didn't even flash. He just literally, I mean, you get the movement speed, sure, it can be a little hard to run away, but he's trying to, you see him sidestepping right there. He's like, oh, if I have mana, maybe I can Q, you know, E the minion, because he wants the cannon, right? Yeah. That's the minion that Ale was TPing to.
Went in, though.
Yeah, I think he Q'd to get the knockback, and then was like, okay, I can flash away, but ran out of mana. I think he just didn't have enough mana to get the knockback.
The problem I have with that is he's already further away from you right now than he would be after the knockback, so just walk away.
But, I mean, even more than this, like, you have the problem of Cube dying solo there, but it's a deeper problem for Rare Adam. The problem is they're not playing the map in any way. When Herald was on the top side, they walked 4 players up there, sat there, then recalled and let them have it. Then Drake spawns. They do the same thing, and they could have traded Dragon for Herald. They could have traded top tower for Dragon, but they're not doing anything on the cross.
And this is my biggest problem, is that, like, this is a composition for me that really kind of needs to get into the groove early, or you just start to fall behind, because you just don't have the control of the map to set up for your long range. If you try to face check any of these objectives, LNG would just destroy.
And guess what? With Ale dominating the 1v1 in the top side, and now with a Herald down in the bottom side, that is both side lanes won by LNG. And if we think back to what we said in the draft, it was the RA had these winning lane matchups. That's not what's happening.
No, they're going to get absolutely destroyed, and there's no more laning anymore. LNG with the globals, with the group up, they can continue to force.
Ale versus Cube once again, and Cube's losing out once again. Ale making Cube look square.
What is going on the top side of the map? Cube just running into it again, and this is supposed to be a Jayce favorite matchup in the early laning phase. That is how it happens, but if Kennen can get a lead, you will die on this Jayce. There's just too much CC, and Ollie is completely dominating.
Yeah, I think we might be looking at a Kennen ban pretty quick. Oh, okay.
Okay, he's hit it. FoFo's there as well. Scatter the Weak goes wide. Ali, can you get out of this one? I'm not so sure it's possible. Tagged by the Blade of the Rune King. Leyan moving in, trying to finish this kill off the lightning grab, fleeing, but he ran out of minions.
Denies it from FoFo, though. That's a big deal. FoFo used the TP to actually get up into the top side of the map, and we'll get the wave. It'll be all right, but you know FoFo would have liked to have that.
Yeah, FoFo would have loved it. And also LNG would have loved to be in a position to try and make some map plays elsewhere, but they had just gone for the reset. So even though you invest a lot of time up here as Rare Adam, you're not really getting punished as we just get this all in. And I don't know what you're expecting. Like, as this stage, when this Kennen is so far ahead, he will just one-shot you with that combo.
Yeah, it was not a great look. This was a pretty sweet rocket, though.
Yeah.
Cracking that all the way into the top side of the map. And, well, Ollie did a really good job with the sidestep here and then running it all the way into the tower. You know, maybe if there's not a Viego there, he has enough time to get the execute off, but good regardless.
Shenanigans in the mid lane in the side screen right now as we see the replay on Ale going down. I don't think there's going to be a fight occurring right now, and I just want to quickly mention that Ale is one of these players that has had really good games and really bad games, right? It's one of these sort of coin flip players. This is one where he's flipped the heads.
Well, I mean, it's a completely different version of Ale in playoffs versus regular split. Like, if you look at regular split, he was 15th and 16th in goal difference of 15 and CSD of 15 in our league. Like, basically the bottom three for both those stats. Whereas when we come into playoffs, he's been far better. He's coming out with actual gold leads in this top lane, and he's been playing things like this Kennen that have enabled that style so well.
And it's made playing the early game so easy for LNG. You know, topside was supposed to be a bit problematic for them in the early stages. All of a sudden, Ollie's completely crushing after just one gank from Tarzan that helped get first blood on the top side of the map. And since then, LNG done the basics. They've knocked down bot lane outer tower. They just get top lane. Next focus likely going to be mid. There's a Drake in not too long either. Yep. It's easy to play from here.
Rift Herald as well. And if you're trying to defend mid lane turn as Rare Adam, good luck to you. Rell coming over the wall, Kennen sneaking in behind you. I don't want to be near that structure.
Yeah, and it feels like the later it goes on as well, Light is going to start to become a threat. Right now, so far, it's not really been about Light, but he's on Aphelios. The more items he gets, the scarier he's going to get. And look at the protection that this composition offers him. Over to the side of RA, though, is they're the ones that are going to get on top of this. Herald should be able to get this with no contest because Drake is spawning on the other side of the map.
Yeah, it's just RA making a good move there off of the reset timers from LNG. And finally, we're seeing a situation where they trade an objective for another. They're going to play for top lane tower too, but this bot inner, so insanely low. LNG are going to be able to threaten walking around this one, so Cube has to back up and sacrifice this one.
And this is what we're talking about, right? If you're trying to defend these turrets as RA, it's so easy for them to move these big engage tools around the place. Lwandy perfectly happy to sneak around. Tarzan, even with his terrain scaling, able to move into position before you really expect it. A flash kick under turret, and you've no longer got that safety.
Now LNG have set up like all this deep vision on the bottom side of the map too, makes it really hard for Rare Adam to reclaim territory on that bot side, especially without inner turret to fall back on. I love the setup!
Icon's behind them, the stun comes in, Light off to the side as well, but won't be able to find much more. I thought the taunt was going to matter more. I thought Lwandy was going to be able to get in, but couldn't quite find the punish. Now in the mid lane, looking for iBoy. Sonic Wave connects. Tarzan not going to pull the trigger.
I do still really like the play, though, from LNG, knowing that Rare Adam wanted to walk it into the Tier 2 tower. They also use the TP from Ole's Kennen on that one. Now, there's no real objective to play for until the time that that's going to be up, so I don't think it's going to cost LNG too much, but I do love that they're continuing to look to find those picks.
And I think for a Rare Adam, you kind of got to do the same here, right? You've now got maybe a bit of control you can use on top side. Start to get some vision there. See if you can look for picks off of FoFo, because otherwise, like, you're still waiting for this Jinx to come online. She's miles away. Same when you look at this Viego. Like, you need to find ways of slowing down this game, getting goal back in your favor, because otherwise LNG, they're just going to continue to steamroll you with this composition.
And it does feel like this matchup to me is kind of when we looked at the predictions, a lot of people being a little bit flip-floppy, a lot of people not sure which team to go for. And it felt to me like this was less a matter of which team do I think is better, and more a matter of which style do I think is better, right? RA represents that old school, correct, quote-unquote, League of Legends, where you're playing passively, you're playing only for objectives. And LNG, a little bit more mojo there, a little bit more coin flip, a little bit more willing to make those pop-off moments.
And I think a huge portion of that actually comes down to like the support matchup, right? I think Lwandy has been phenomenal all split, even coming in at the start of spring as well, of starting to get these roams off, looking to support his team around the map. Like his jungle proximity is sky high, and he's been able to keep LNG in place because of it. when you look across Hung, though, he's been much more about dominating that bot lane with iBoy, which means when you end up in these mid-jungle 2v2s, you've got an extra pair of hands for LNG.
Yeah, and we've seen that LNG, you know, stylistically, all they're trying to do is take over the map, continue this dominance now that they have a very strong composition that can force fights and are exceptionally strong within them too. So they just walk around with this death ball, you know, it's been Ale in a side lane for the most part, and then 4 players running around doing whatever they want. That's the other great thing I think about having a Galio in the mid lane when you're running something, you know, some hyper carry like an Aphelios is Galio just stops farming. You can play 2 lanes, your Kennen gets 1 and your Aphelios gets the other, and Galio just sort of runs around soaking EXP when and where he can. So LNG have a good setup, and when we saw the gold sort of charts a little bit earlier, you saw that where Ale and Light were so far ahead of the rest of the team, and then Icon was like lower than his counterpart in FoFo and in iBoy, and that's just how these games sort of dilute themselves, how the gold ends up getting spread apart. And there's a giant gold lead in a game like this, but it feels like LNG are so in control.
Yeah, especially if they can start to suffocate out Rare Adam here, right? You start to get vision control up on this top side or on the Baron. Who face checks then is alright. Actually, it's FoFo. Does find Lwandy, but
apparently FoFo's going to sphere check.
Yeah, nice.
That's the way they play this one.
But if you try to move in as anyone here, maybe Braum can survive a lot of this, but like the amount of CC that's there, if you get caught at all, you're just never getting out. So trying to move into these areas dark is so scary for Rare Adam.
Yeah, and heading into the next fight, we've got a Zhonya's completed for Ale, a stopwatch on both Tarzan and Icon, and LNG are constantly trying to see if they can play inside the fog of war, get a good flank, get a good angle to start a fight. Ale has the flash, so does Lwandy, and they're trying to find this loop around in mid.
They're looking for FoFo. Scatterweed comes in, but Ale goes straight onto the mid laner. Does he have any support? Galio flies on in. FoFo 1 HP, but still surviving. Icon trying to chase, but in the meantime, the other side of the fight is won by Tarzan.
They still get the kill onto the jungler, and there's a Baron on the Rift, right? You have Q pushing in the bot side, but I think LNG are going to force him to TP and go for the objective.
Bit of a play from iBoy and Hung here, but I don't know if they can keep going. Apparently they can. Good Zhonya's out from Icon. Flame Choppers will keep him in place. FoFo re-enters the fray, and LNG, I don't know if they've got the health bars for Baron.
No, they got to run away. The health bars are too low. You don't even have position anymore. And Cube, he's been pushing this whole time. He's still on the bot lane turret.
He's still going for it, right? The resets are coming through from Rare Adam now, but you lose a couple of towers in the bot lane, including your inhibitor tower. You lose mid lane tower on top of that as well. Rare Adam are now actually dead, even though they're ahead in gold, just barely over LNG.
And isn't this just the story of Rare Adam? Every single game we see, they just snowball if they win the lanes. If they don't win the lanes, then it comes down to these mid-game map plays. It's never just about the team fighting with Rare Adam. It's about intelligent play.
Well, we may still need to see some of that team fighting because we do have Dragon coming up in just over 15 seconds. You don't really have control here as Rare Adam, and if you're in these jungle corridors, Ali's going to have a field day.
Yeah, Ale, though, lost his flash in the last fight. Won't have Zhonya's at the time that the objective spawns either. So Rare Adam, they called the bluff around the Baron, kept Cube bot side, and are now in a position where they legitimately can look to fight up against LNG.
They can look for it. I don't know if they actually need to fight. This is only a Cloud Drake, guys. This is only be the third Drake. But Ale off to the side here. No vision on him right now. If you find a window into the fray once again, you've got to keep your eyes on Light as well. He's going to be the carry that FoFo will be looking towards. Ale pushes in, pushes RA back.
One of the big things as well is Tarzan having that Dragon's Rage available. If he can find any of these juicy members in the backline, we'll be able to pick them off very quickly. The only one who's really safe is FoFo with that Banshee's Veil.
It's so important that Rare Adam have spotted Ale and know where he's going to come in from. We saw the combination with the Galio be so threatening, but it's still a challenge for Rare Adam to make it in to the river. Look at Ale's positioning again. All he wants to do is play inside the fog of war, but Rare Adam keeps spotting him.
Chunked out and had to use the rocket belt as well, crucially, so it would be more difficult for him to make a slice and maelstrom play. Dragon already gone down. Icon using the Predator to try and threaten RA, push them away. We're still posturing for a fight. The Dragon's gone, guys.
It doesn't matter the objective's gone. They stared at you across the bar. You know what way this is going to go. They are going to back away, though, and Ale now gets to continue this push in bot side. And with that objective now off the board, your third Dragon for LNG, it feels like you have to fight now as Rare Adam Because even though it's just a Cloud Drake, I mean, you've got ultimates that are wonderful off of these short cooldowns, like the Kennen, like the Galio, and that move speed for a lot of these is so crucial.
I think we saw from Rare Adam in the last fight, they did a lot of really good things, but fundamentally their composition struggles so much at sort of regaining control over the map. When LNG are grouped up, it is very challenging to actually step forward into them. You know, Hung is sort of the only guy that can do it. The rest of your team, very squishy. You don't really have that many great scouting tools either, so it can be very, very challenging. Still though, the fact they were able to spot Ale so many times was very big. Now they just have to go that one step further and actually find some sort of CC onto a player like that.
I'm still terrified they don't spot Icon though, because Icon can just set up for Ale even if he's a little bit away. There's so many things you have to keep your eyes out on. That's not even including Lwandy as well.
Battle of the eye products here as well. iBoy versus Icon. We'll see which laptop's going to win. It's Lwandy taking a big chunk before the fight ever begins. That does make the engage more difficult for LNG. You're gonna have to back away.
Check out the ward on the blue buff in Rare Adam's jungle, though. Ale has TP, so there is a chance that we see that come into play in the next minute or so as both teams continue to posture around that objective. If LNG come back onto the map, RA have to be so worried and back sweep through their jungle to clear wards like those.
I was gonna say the alternative is Ale just stays in the bot side. He's like, if Cube can do it, I can do it too.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You've got double TP available for LNG, right? So they can even start to go aggressive towards this Baron, knowing they'll have numbered advantages if it ever comes to that.
Good scout of the week there. Stops Tarzan escaping, but he's okay. He'll just settle for a top wave instead here. FoFo has to back away. That Banshee's Veil has gained so much value across the course of this game. The amount of like arm's length fighting we've had, Banshee's is the perfect time.
Yeah, FoFo's going to be very happy with that decision. Still though, like already we're able to clear that one ward, but even Leyan trying to jump forward there looking for a play, that comes with two things. That's A, looking for a play. It's B, now there's another ward for Ale to TP to. So LNG, whenever they walk into the enemy jungle, those are the types of things they're going to be looking to place down. Now Ale has the flash, has the Maelstrom, and is once again playing on a control ward.
One of the things that LNG could do, though, is actually like double up on Ale and Icon in the lane, right? Because you don't really have heavy engage from Rare Adam. You can play away Agent 3 and look to use the fact you've got these double teleports.
Let's get the week in there. Keep your eyes on Lwandy and keep your eyes out for the flank from Ale. He is so deep behind enemy lines. Will he find an opportunity? Lightning Surge. In he goes with the slicing maelstrom onto 3 members, and the rest of the team slams in behind him. Light is here to clean it up, but wait a second. Look at iBoy on the other side of the fight. Light moving forward to try and finish him up. Tarzan goes in, gets the kick and takes him down. The triple for Light as Icon looks for more. They can't go under the tower, but they can take the fight.
Ale getting the flank. It's Light that secures the triple kill off the back of it, but the Kennen flank, Ale was so patient waiting for that moment to get into the backline and absolutely shred Rare Adam.
And LNG do such a good job of corralling them towards the electric rat in the backline. There's nothing that they can do. You can't go towards the Baron though as LNG with the health bar so low, but you watch it here, right? You get the flash forward from Lwandy where you've got to back away as Rare Adam. You don't want anything to do with this, so you manage to close the distance, get into that perfect spot. Now iBoy, the only one that's separate, does do a good amount of work in this fight, but unfortunately the rest of his team are gone by the wayside.
There's a slight improvement Ale could have done there. If Ale uses the Zonias, he could have stopped the exhaust from going down onto him, and then they're getting all those kills in the backline that much faster. Then you don't give the chance to iBoy's Jinx on the other side. Still though, Tarzan with the sweet moves is able to make sure the fight's a win for him.
And I just want to say, to be fair to iBoy there as well, he perfectly timed his W and rocket to hit the Zonias straight out from Ale. Very nicely done from him in the fight. You know, he was up against Tarzan's Lee Sin. There's only so much you can do as an AD carry. 30 seconds on this Cloud Drake.
It does feel like a huge amount of this has come down to the AD carries, though. 3 items completed across the board. You've got that stopwatch for Light, though, which is going to give him a little bit safety from people like FoFo.
Still heading into this fight, no summoners on Light, Flash and Cleanse available for iBoy. Now there's no Flash on the Kennen, no Flash on the Lee Sin on the other side, so it's so much easier for iBoy to stay alive in these fights. He has the tools to be able to make it happen, and LNG, they're actually moving up towards the Baron now.
I see your tools, and I see Aphelios. Well, actually, he's just moved off his chakrams, but still, they can try and burst through this, although does get spotted out, so not going to go towards it.
I think LNG might be keen to this and thinking, without the Kennen ult, we actually need Rare Adam to walk into us. They know that the Dragon is going to be a priority for Rare Adam to stop the soul from going into LNG's hands, so that's why they're playing Baron side here. Baron is the higher prize for LNG, and they want to force Rare Adam to step on forward into them.
Alright, in the meantime, we'll take this Drake away for themselves, and with that taken, and LNG not pulling the trigger on the on the Baron, sorry, that's going to be a nice little win for RA. No more split pressure.
For real though, how many times can Rare Adam keep calling the bluffs of LNG? First it was the first Baron play where Cube never TP'd in, just said, I'm going to keep pushing. Now it's, we take the Drake and don't even care.
RA needs to be so careful though. They don't have vision on Ale. He's just coming out from base, and although they've managed to push LNG back, they can get some control back of River. They need to be certain that they're not just running into Ale off on the wings.
Exactly, you can see even Hung, right, walking back through the jungle with the sweeper ready. You have to clear away all the wards inside your jungle. If a Kennen doesn't have flash, the Kennen needs to find a TP flank, and that's exactly what Rare Adam are looking out for.
I want to revisit the AD carry items that you were talking about earlier on Dagda as well, because Light is taking a BF sword here. He's got a stopwatch, which means he could go to a GA as his 4th item, but I'd love to see the Infinity Edge, right? I'd love to see that massive power spike, because it does feel like even in that winning fight we saw from LNG, the damage profile is pretty low from LNG. If Light isn't there to do damage, no one else is.
It's also just a case of like, how much value will you get from a GA, right? If you're ever in a position where FoFo has one-shot you, chances are the fight's already over. So coming into that fight is not going to be saving or turning that one around. So I feel like an Infinity Edge will do a lot more work in helping to take down the CC targets that your team is setting up for.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you on that one. I would like to see the Infinity Edge come through. It does seem like, hey, and there you go. He's got it. You love to see that.
Good timing on that, hey.
Yeah, good timing, good timing. Honestly, though, it feels like LNG have slowed down just a little bit here, you know, not knowing exactly what to play for next. Those inner towers maybe a little bit more challenging to knock down. And LNG haven't seemed super decisive around the Baron, right? They've been not wanting to fully commit to it, instead trying to see if they can bait a fight, but RA are just not biting.
Yeah, and I like that LNG are trying to play around the strengths of the team fight, right? But I think they've also got a lot that they can work with inside lanes, especially when Ale is so far up on this Jayce. Icon has the mobility that he can bring to these. It should be a case of, hey, look, let's see if he can double down on these side lanes and try and pull Rare Adam apart.
And once again, it does kind of go back to the styles of these two teams. Like, we are so used to seeing RA play a very slow style of game, whereas LNG has been much more about finding advantages early and snowballing. So when it comes to these mid and late game fights and decisions, it's where RA has the advantage. Pick on the top side maybe onto Ale. He was looking for a flank himself. Moonlight Vigil goes... I'm not even sure why he was pressing the button, to be honest. It was just on a different planet.
Stonks!
Yeah.
I love to see it.
I mean, RA have just gained control without really doing anything here.
Yeah, there's a couple things that went down. First was like Ale sort of getting pushed out of the top side jungle, RA walking up mid, the ulti going wide now, and it's Rare Adam with control in enemy territory. LNG, ever since they had the Baron call where they didn't fully commit to the fight, they've lost control on the top side. Now they don't have the vision, they don't have the positioning, and it's RA that are on the Baron.
I mean, you're going to get the TP coming through from the Galio in the mid lane, but this Baron is going down so quickly with that Jinx.
RA just going for it. Ale over the wall. He just gets stunned by the Scatter of the Weak. RA are looking for the fight. Rocket went wide, though. Ale survives. Baron has reset. And LNG at least able to answer, but it looks like RA could start up again.
But this is one of the big things, right? If LNG are going to go for a swing and a miss with so many of these abilities, that's when the range for Rare Adam comes into effect. If you cannot close the gap for LNG, the poke from this rapid-fire Jinx, Cube with the accelerated shot class, even the poke from FoFo is going to be so difficult to deal with. You need to find these quick fights, these quick engages for LNG.
Finally, some vision control acquired here by LNG. They're the ones in the Baron pit. And look, Light change weapons. He's got red and white. There's a Baron on the cards. He will shred this objective. Leyan trying to face check in here. Shock plus coming on through. RA want to get into this pit. I think they're going to be able to answer.
Check out Icon on the side, the bottom corner of your screen. He's playing on top of the control ward, knows there's a blue trinket there. He wants to come in from the side and get this huge pinch down on RA.
RA moving forwards. DPS has stopped on the
TP
Baron right now. Leyan coming in. The TP behind Cube. The kick from Tarzan as well. It's too damn beautiful. LNG just tear through RA.
LNG took their sweet time with a double shock blast from Cube. Somehow saves the fight. Still lost jungler, lost AD carry, and FoFo is on the run. But what on earth?
How do they keep doing it, though? We see LNG with these great engages. We're like, that's it. Rare Adam, you're out of here. And suddenly they're able to turn around. FoFo running for the hills, though.
FoFo against the world here. He's on the wrong spot. Has to go between two towers to try and escape. Tarzan should be able to head him off. Icon trying to close the gap as well. Can he turn around and find a kill? Halfway through the cooldown on his ultimate, Cube moving up to try and protect his mid laner. Tarzan closing the gap, and he's suddenly found a Jayce in the brush. Icon moves in, looking for the taunt, finds one. Cube has a lot of damage though. Icon low, uses the Zhonya's. Light is arriving. RA desperately trying to protect FoFo, but it's Cube who's going to be in trouble now. Dragon's Rage keep him away, but actually Cube might escape to the skies on the minion, dodges the Q. Tarzan goes in and finishes the kill.
LNG smelled blood in the water, and they were not going away without a body. They get the Jayce in the end, revenge the double kill, but it's the team fight setup from LNG that is just picture perfect.
Tarzan with the kick onto iBoy just destroyed them. And that TP then from Ale, perfect position. This is exactly what we're setting up. This is the perfect team fight for LNG. And then Cube goes and roots it. Oh, you
killed him!
Lwandy!
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Unreal, but still, like, the Dragon is still on the map. RA are back onto the map and onto the Baron too, knowing that LNG wanted to go for the resets, but Cube is still not alive.
All right, it was a slow start to the game, but it's turned into a banger. Now grouping up for the Baron, Dagda. What should we expect?
But there's so little flashes on the key members of LNG, and you've got a ton of those on the side of Rare Adam. They can try and outplay LNG.
We go, grouped up in the pit for LNG as they try and burn through this one. FoFo on the other side of the pit right now. Biggle could come on through. It's taken by Tarzan now for the fight. Ale on the backside looking for Cube 1v1, but it's chaos in the pit right now. LNG seems to be winning, but iBoy is still going off to the side. He's still alive. Another shock blast to take a kill here. Icon trying to escape. He doesn't have flash. He has to go in. iBoy gets another. The Baron goes down to LNG, but RA get the fight.
RA get the fight. There's a Drake on the map too, and Ollie's even going to be spotted out by the ward over on the red buff. Rare Adam were able to pull away with that fight. I think Cube got another 3-4-man shock blast, just ridiculous damage before being pushed out of the fight.
Oh, I thought he was going to push. I thought he was going to try and go for the tower.
He's got the resets, though. He's going to be okay. Still, though, RA will get the Drake, delay the soul, and LNG only have 2 Baron buffs to work with.
It's actually kind of messy from LNG. You're going to see it here. This is what I'm talking about. You cannot get onto the key members here. iBoy has so much more range to play with. So even though you're getting these engages off onto some members, you're not hitting onto
the shock blast.
That shock blast doing so much, and iBoy left untouched this whole time. Icon's in the back of the pit, and again, this range discrepancy coming into such a big factor here when you don't have those flashes available, and Rare Adam can win at the fight.
Yeah, when you don't have the flashes, if you don't have that flank angle like we saw from Icon in the previous fight playing inside the Fog War, you need these things if you're going to come out on top here for LNG. iBoy didn't have to use his summoner spells in that fight either, so he's building more items, he's feeling more confident, and sometimes all it takes in the late game is for a Jinx to get excited and you're winning team fights.
Yeah, same story. Jinx and Aphelios, right? Two sides of the same coin where they are that late game hyper carry, slow in the mid lane, like dodging away from that Braum passive. Will be able to get away with their lives.
It is worth pointing out that for LNG, the 2 Baron buffs that survived were on Kennen and on Lee Sin. And the way LNG have been playing it is Kennen in side lane and the rest of the 4 members all grouping up together. So only having 2 Baron buffs still doesn't feel like it's harming LNG in any way, because Tarzan's going to be with the team to buff up one wave and Ollie's going to have it for another.
I mean, they haven't really been playing side lanes at all so far this game, which has been the big...
For Cube, when he is like finding these TPs coming in and disrupting the engage coming through from Ollie, as we are going to hop into the game, he doesn't even necessarily have to kill the Kennen. All he has to do is delay him by a few seconds, make the engage timing from LNG thrown off, and that means you don't have a Galio and a Kennen on your Jinx at the same time. If it's just a Galio or it's just a Kennen, Jinx can deal with it. The problem is when 2 or 3 or 4 targets are all diving on your face, and that's when you have absolutely no fun.
So I feel like we need to do a little bit of a recap and like see where we are in the game. Both teams on Soul Point. Drake coming up in 3 minutes. LNG have the Baron for I think about another minute. It's just on 2 members, but it doesn't feel like there's going to be much sieging. Let's be realistic for the time being. 13-8. Gold-wise, we are not far off of even 2k lead at this point in the game. Doesn't make much of a difference.
And one of the big things as well is that bot lane inhibitor turret that went down with Cube as well, right? Because if Rare Adam do get a convincing fight, we are pushing the 40-minute mark. They can just run bot and look to end the game through that exposed inhibitor. So you have to be so careful as LNG that you don't get caught out.
Yeah, because all he wants to do is walk into the enemy jungle, but now there's like blue trinket wards sort of dotting that top side jungle for for Rare Adam. I think that's really smart, keeping the vision up and making sure he can't step on in too far forward, because LNG, they keep trying to step in either Lwandy in the bot side, Ale in the top side. It's all about seeing how you can get in. I think the right play is actually to group up those two players to try and get that territory together. Then you leave one hanging out inside the enemy jungle until the fight ensues.
Cube will be able to scout this with a shock blast if he wants to, unless Leyan just walks in and face checks. I don't think anything's going to happen. I want to quickly revisit AD carry items. Light, level 18, full build at this stage. Slightly ahead of iBoy. Could take over a fight.
I think the problem for LNG, though, is that they're just not controlling the map, right? There's never any pressure in side lanes. That's a draw air or a cross. Even when they're giving up dragons on the bottom side, it's not like they tried to take a tier 2 on top side. They're not doing anything with their time. They're kind of just sitting waiting for Rare Adam to be the ones that are actually dictating the pace. So now again, Rare Adam are like, cool, we actually have pushing side waves. LNG split. Right, let's get on the map, guys. Let's get this visual control back first.
I do think it is somewhat a symptom of the compositions, though, because now we've reached a point where Rare Adam are not behind. They've got all these range champions that can poke you out, take control, and you also don't need any sleight of hand with the RA comp. You can show all 5 players in mid lane, whereas LNG have to hide Galio, have to hide Kennen, and threaten the flanks.
iWandy could be in trouble here, but he's not really the target RA would like to start a fight with.
iBoy got the red buff.
Well,
yoink.
You know, I thought they were looking for the fight. Turns out they're just being a little bit sneaky. FoFo grabs that, gives it over to iBoy. My liege, take the red buff.
But yeah, I do agree with Ender, though. I think the timing window has been missed by LNG. Like, you had the opportunity to trade for side lanes. You had the opportunity to try and play things out. But now for LNG, well, Rare Adam have control of the map. They're the ones pushing you. Now they get to use their range. And even though LNG, we've got this next dragon coming up in 35 seconds, they don't have control of the area.
Yeah, so the Kennen checklist is looking where can you come in from the flanks, because right now he's playing top side. There's a ward in the top left corner of your screen. There's a minion wave in bot side. I think there might be a ward in the tri-brush too, although it's kind of hard to tell from my position. So LNG have options to work with. And if RA were to push too far forward mid, that ward on the top left would be so big for them if RA decide to fight here.
All right, Drake coming up in 12 seconds here, and it's RA right now that have control of the area, and honestly, they might be able to just burst through it.
They can't just keep shoving them back, right? I mean, if LNG aren't actually in a position to engage, they don't have those flanks. Hell, I mean, you can just continuously poke this.
It's 10 seconds until Baron too, right? And Ollie's been pushing topside, so LNG don't even care about the Drake. They're willing to give up the soul to Rare Adam. They value positioning on the Baron and getting Ollie into a flank.
And look at the guns on Light as well. They can tear through this thing. Jayce, though, is going to be in the bottom side, so he could even go over, swing, take that dragon, and then come up and join the team.
iWandy on the flank here. Ale recalling on a ward right now. There is a ward in that blue brush, crucially here. LNG, will they be willing to commit to this Baron? Will they make the decision and call RA's bluff?
And the checklist has just been flipped over here, right? Because you're looking at wards that are in this top side now for Ale to try and go to. That's why he's staying on the fountain. He wants to try and get that movement speed buff straight in on top of Rare Adam.
Wow, he's actually just straight TPing into the top lane to get back into the river here. Because LNG didn't immediately commit to the Baron, they lost sort of mid-prio. That allowed Rare Adam to clear their jungle. So now LNG say, forget the flanks, just run into the pit versus us.
They're calling the bluff. Will they be able to burn through this on 6,000 on the Baron? They can just take this before RA get in. Can they find the fight though? iWandy with the engage. Looking for more on this one. Time to retreat for LNG. They try and leave through the river. A couple of
huge damage!
The Shakrams come on in, and now Tarzan in the middle of everyone, looking for more as Icon slams on through. The damage from Light, the maelstrom from Ale. LNG do it again.
Tarzan, you absolute god! He goes all the way downtown and finds iBoy. The rest of the team follows up, and LNG have just won the game.
I mean, look at those death timers. There's no way Rare Adam are going to get up in time. This is game 1. Finally, LNG find that crack in the armor.
And I watched Tarzan go that deep. I thought he was doomed. He doesn't even lose his GA. Now diving the Nexus towers as it's only Hung remaining. He will fall. So will the Nexus towers. And LNG, it wasn't a perfect win, but it's still a win.
Oh my god, yesterday I was disappointed. It was a 3-0. It was RNG just absolutely stomping, but my god, I love the LPL. That was awesome.
This was so close, so back and forth. You can see how crucial all the positioning was around these objectives, and eventually you just get that trigger pulled from LNG. They move in towards the Baron, they just quickly start uptake it, and it baits Rare Adam into the wrong position.
And I think the key thing there is that when we look at how LNG played that last situation, we kept saying that RA was calling their bluffs, right? They weren't willing to pull the trigger. Well, that time they were. That time they just shred through the Baron and then find the fight off the back.
They finally did it, right? And I feel like that's one of those things that you have to have a level of awareness within the game, because when the pause happened, I was like, oh yeah, maybe your coach might say that to you. But no, they just figured that out in the high-pressure situation. We're like, we've got a 6-side Aphelios. Like, this thing is not long for the world. And they pulled the trigger, and it was beautiful to see.
Yeah, it really was. And also, had red and white weapons. It's literally the perfect situation for shredding through a Baron, right?
Yeah, I think LNG kind of got lucky, though, because honestly, they had that early lead. They could have tried to turn it into a little bit more. We were talking about, hey, you can try and play sides, try and make things happen for yourself. But the fact that they kind of took this slow mid-game allowed Rare Adam to get back into it. And if there wasn't that big composition difference, I feel like that could have actually been a game where Rare Adam won.
And we kind of have to flip that conversation as well, because this version of Rare Atom that we've seen so far in game number 1 versus what we saw in regular split, well, Rare Atom's a team that wins lanes and then snowballs that advantage, right? When you're not winning the lanes, well, that's a difficult situation. Maybe we see them swap to red side to change up the draft. I'm not sure what you guys think.
You know, it's possible to go to red side. I'm not sure side selection has that much to do with it. I think ultimately, like, top lane was a complete disaster in the early game. Like, Cube was decent later in those fights, had some really nice moments, but the Kennen got so big that it just felt impossible for RA to walk into any sort of fights. And I also think, like, they just need to figure out how to cross map for the first 15 minutes. They shore up that. All of a sudden, I think we have a very different game if they're walking in with even or ahead in gold, because I think they should have and very well could have had a lead in the early game.
I think we're going to see that priority on the Kennen really rise up here. Like, the Jayce just wasn't in. And we called it even in the draft. Like, Cube doesn't really play this, and he didn't look comfortable in that laning phase. So I think either we'll start to see that ban swap up, so you actually get that ban coming through, or you end up seeing that rise of party. I don't know if it'd be first pick worthy, but certainly very, very high.
Another point on the draft, maybe this Lee Sin, right? Tarzan looked insane on the Lee Sin. So many incredible kicks. Maybe that has to be taken away from Tarzan, because he just does special things to me. We're going to go to a break, and then we'll see if we get more Lee Sin on the Rift right